What up, what up, what up? Back at it again. Real Fans Podcast. Back in the building. I'm your boy Gabe. I'm wearing my Marlins shirt. Shout out to the Marlins. That's Julian over here. And of course, JoJo's got to rep New York. Always repping.
Already know. I'm with the Miami natives and locals out here. Just another episode here, Real Fans. Welcome back.
Oh my God, we're in the heat of summer. I don't know if everybody stay inside, hydrate, hide your kids, hide your wife. It's a hot
heat
one.
Advisory almost every single day. Almost every day has been a heat.
The water, I think the water in the ocean, the temperature was like 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, at like
something like that.
5 feet or something like. I don't know how it was. It was like I forget how deep it was that they're saying it, but it's been fucking miserable. I don't even want to go outside, honestly. I mean, I've been going to the Inter Miami games, but those have been just like miserably hot. But nonetheless.
We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Inter Miami in a little bit. But you know what I love about the middle of the summer when it's hot as hell? I think about fall. I'm ready for fall. And when I think fall football. So let's get into NFL news. NFL news opened up this week. We have the opening of training camp. I think it's the first week. And as we record this today, or just before we got on, I think one of the biggest news out of training camp was Joe Burrow just got carted off. I sent that video. We're not going to show it, obviously. But Joe Burrow, obviously, Super Bowl contender, top, number one pick, coming off an injury already. I don't know which leg he injured because I know he already, he tore his ACL off that bad tackle. So, Joe Burrow gets injured first week. So, Julian, how, as we get into football season, especially this first week, these guys have been, I don't know what they do with their offseason. Mostly, I think most of the professional guys, like the quarterbacks, will probably be training, getting ready. But how difficult is it to have your star quarterback just carted off the field? And you saw the video just now.
I'm actually about to watch it right now and see exactly what happened because. Oh, it's a non-contact injury.
Non-contact. I forgot to specify. Non-contact injury.
For some reason, I feel like those are the worst type of injuries.
Because it's like something fucking popped. And and the thing too is I've had those injuries. Like I've tore my hamstring, and it's those shit. Like when somebody goes down from non-contact, like I just feel that in my soul, like exactly what they're feeling. It's like so bad that you just fell down. It wasn't like you got knocked down and then you're kind of feeling it after the fact. This is like boom, like right there, and I'm like,
to describe
it right now.
Awkward happen, like I don't know, you get a little tweak, your foot gets stuck, in the turf, or
I just want to describe the video because we're not going to play, obviously, for YouTube reasons. We don't want to get, demonetized or whatever. But
he's not money like that to be doing that. So.
He's kind of rolling out to the right. He's kind of running, and it looks like he was just kind of running by himself. Obviously, quarterbacks, they're wearing their red jersey. Like nobody's going to touch him, obviously, week one. So he's not getting tackled or anything. He's rolling out to his right, kind of running, and he kind of bends over to kind of dig down to run, and then automatically, I think it was his left knee. I can't remember. Julian, you can.
It looks like his right
knee?
His right leg, and it looks like he already had a sleeve on it. So if you guys are Bengals fans out there, let us know exactly. Like it looked like it was something that he was already taking precaution towards.
Yeah.
And now it seems like he just aggravated it, which
immediately
makes
limping.
it even worse. And you're talking about this is a calf injury, and I mean like anybody who's had those muscle injuries, like those are some nagging injuries: hamstrings, calves, groins, like. Anything on the bottom half of your body that's just like muscle, like there's so much pushing and pulling that goes right there. Like it's weird. It's like one of those things you don't realize how much you use those muscles until you injure one of them.
Oh, that's
when I tore my hamstring, I was like, bro, I can't sit, I can't lay down, I can't fucking stand, I can't do anything. You can't bend over. Like it's just like Jesus, and the calf probably not as bad, but still nonetheless enough for a grown man to just fall over like that. That's some scary sight. That's a really scary sight. If I was the Bengals, man, I just don't even touch him. Don't even risk it for the rest of the, because you do not want him to have a nagging injury all season long. That's just going to be bothering him. It's give him as much time as he needs. It's late July, so you got until mid-September. So hopefully the training staff there. Yeah. The good thing is, thank God it wasn't.
You'd rather have this happen now than later on down the road, obviously.
Yeah. I will say the weird thing is it doesn't look like. I mean, this is on grass too. This didn't happen on turf, and we all know like turf is shit. Turf always injures people in like non-contact.
Yeah, it's basically on concrete. They put concrete down and then they put a layer like a layer.
And then you have the black pebble shit, and then especially when you have full cleats, your cleats just get stuck in there like that. Like when I play soccer, like I don't use I don't use like legit cleats. I use turf cleats where they're like the knobs are really smaller. Yeah,
they just have the groove. Yeah,
it just has the groove so you don't slide, but it's enough to like, but you're not digging in so much, like because that shit has no give, man. It's not like real grass, but luckily it didn't look like that was the issue. But man, so that sucks. That really sucks.
ESPN reporting that it's a calf injury. This is on the same leg. If I'm looking at a site right now, he had a couple knee strains. Obviously, he tore his ACL.
So was this on the same leg as the ACL?
Same leg. So here's the thing. When I hear this, I like take it with a grain of salt, right? Because a lot of times teams like to cover up injuries, right? They say, make a big, it's just a muscle, it's just a calf or whatever. Which it could be. It could possibly be. They could be. Or I can be more cynical and be like, it's probably if it's on the same leg that he had previously blew out, his knee, maybe it's something deeper, right? Maybe, and they say one of the biggest predictors of injuries is like previous injury, and if it's on the same side, it's like maybe his leg is protecting that. I don't know. It's the first week. It's hot as hell outside. Like we already, like it's hot everywhere in America. So maybe it is. Hopefully it is just a calf strain because there's a lot of high hopes for him coming in. But it is, from the website I'm looking at, I don't know, I could be looking at something fake, but it's reporting on the same side as that knee.
WebMD?
Yeah. WebMD.
WebMD? Gabe been out the facts. No, that sucks. Like, I mean, obviously in the next couple, this looks like this just happened today. Like, what we said, this is the start of training camp pretty much. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess if there's any time for this to happen, it's now. Yeah.
Not in the middle.
While you still have a ton of time, and it's like, I mean, we all know quarterbacks don't really get that much like play, anyways. I mean, they're mostly kind of throwing the ball around for the most part throughout training camp. So I don't know. Hopefully, he can come back because otherwise, man, like I've seen it countless times. The good thing is he's a quarterback. He's not like a receiver. Or like a lineman with like a calf injury. At least he can kind of stand there and kind of like hold his own. So it's not like
rely on his arm. He might not be able to scramble as much. But I'm looking at the video now. So who's the backup quarterback for that team? Who's next man up?
I'll show you that right now. I'm looking at the schedule because they play week one. They play the Bengals week 1. So let me.
The
look
Bengals
at the
play
roster.
the Bengals.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Bengals play the Browns. Is what I meant to say. Let me see their backup quarterbacks. Let me scroll down. I'm just trying to vie for time.
Vie for time.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down. I'm trying to scroll down. Actually, let me just type it.
Time's clicking. Clicking.
You have Trevor Siemian, which you would know about, Jojo. Jojo would know about Trevor Siemian. And a guy, Jake Browning. Right. Jake Browning from Washington, first year. So. Trevor Siemian, hey guys, Bengals fans, you have something to look forward to. Jojo, tell them how good they are. Tell how good Trevor Siemian.
I mean, listen, you just
Pro Bowler, some would say.
Burrow, pray for your boy Burrow, man. Hopefully it's nothing, right? I don't think you want your boy Siemian out there starting this year. But yeah, next man up. I'll say some
because like
in Denver,
it would suck. It would really suck for them to miss, even if he just misses one game that can pretty much guarantee them a loss with that guy as a backup. Like, with that race for the first seed this season is going to be insanely tough. You're going to need every win you can possibly get imaginable because the AFC, I mean, we've said it last year, and it's probably going to be even better this year. It's going to be super, super tough. I mean, you're talking about the Bengals, the Bills. Now the Jets look like they're going to be a fighter. You have the Chargers, who are always kind of up there. The Jags, who are supposed to be better. The Dolphins, like, I feel like I'm missing some other ones too. But like,
don't forget the Broncos. Like
the Chiefs. How can I forget the Chiefs? The fucking Chiefs, the Super Bowl champion.
My whole.
The Broncos could be better too. I mean, we don't know. I mean, the AFC is fucking Baltimore. Like the AFC is stacked right now, and it's like the last thing you need is one of your quarterbacks like going down for like a game because. I mean, we saw it this past season. Like that that game with Damar Hamlin going down, like that affected either the Bengals and the Bills potentially getting first seed.
Yeah.
It did because they had to go based off win percentage, and when you have one less game, the win percentage gets all kind of wonky and everything. So we saw how that affected last year. So it's like, the last thing you want is with the way this race is going to be. It's honestly going to be a really exciting season, especially in the AFC. NFC is going to be whack as shit, but the AFC now with even Aaron Rodgers coming over here, it's going to be electric. And it's going to be top talents.
Quick note: shout out to Damar Hamlin. I saw a video of him going out to actual practice, so he was out there practicing. So shout out to him. I mean, he's playing again. So
this whole time, I've wondered what his next move was, like whether he's going to take a year off, right? Focus on his health. I know he's been a huge advocate in the community lately, which he's been doing that even before his injury, but. All right, interesting. So he started practicing, so he was out there on the field.
Yeah, and last time I saw him was at the ESPYs. He was presenting an award on behalf of the medical team that helped him. So and he was very emotional, crying on stage. So shout out to him, man.
That was really dope. Yeah, I saw that out there.
That's scary, man, to go back out there. I say that takes some balls. I mean,
hey, man, you got to be a warrior, dude.
I think what makes it like probably makes him feel a little bit comfortable too is like how much of a freak accident it was. It wasn't like some pre-existing condition that like came out. It's not like Chris Bosh, for example. Remember he had like towards the end of his career, he had all that the blood clot issues and stuff. Like, thank God it's not something like that where it's something that was just such a freak accident that the odds of it happening again is probably very slim to none. So hopefully. So the good thing is he has no pre-existing conditions that could cause something like that to happen again.
Yeah. And so we were talking earlier about the quarterback, how Joe Burrow going down in like early weeks of training camp. Have you guys seen anything, or what is your guys' opinion? Because Hard Knocks is about to come out. They announced that they're going to do the Jets. I think that's August 8th is when the first Hard Knocks is going to come out. But also, I don't know if you guys seen any of this thing on Netflix, the Netflix quarterbacks. Now I heard about it. I haven't seen anything about it. But obviously, with Hard Knocks, with the Jets, obviously Aaron Rodgers is a big trade, big acquisition. I think he officially signed this year. Let me look up on Twitter real quick. He officially signed. I saw Schefter
he got
put
an extension.
Yeah,
put an extension. I forgot the exact.
So who are the three quarterbacks in the show right now? I know Kirk Cousins. You got Patty Mahomes, and there's another one else featured
Marcus Mariota, number one pick. The way they kind of framed it is like kind of a top quarterback with your Patrick Mahomes, kind of middle of the road Kirk Cousins, and kind of Marcus Mariota, who's trying to come back to that starting position. Julian, I'll go to you. Like, if you had to pick a show to be interested in, which show would you prefer to watch? I've heard a lot of good things from quarterbacks, but Hard Knocks has a big name like Aaron Rodgers. So, how do you feel about like that kind of structure, like a 3 quarterback structure, kind of top, middle, bottom tier kind of?
That sounds interesting. Yeah, I didn't know too much about it. I mean, I heard that it was good and people were talking about it. I haven't seen any of it yet. But I do think it's time for like NFL Films to come out with something different. I mean, they've been doing Hard Knocks for over 20 years now. So I think it's cool to see them like do something different again, and kind of maybe not just focus so much on one team or one storyline. It's kind of branching out to like, I guess the people that you want to see. I mean, not everybody's going to be a Jets fan. And now it seems like they're going to have to kind of do something too because I don't know if you guys remember, they had a hard time getting teams to want to participate in Hard Knocks now.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of teams are not wanting to do it, and the Jets kind of settled with it, which is kind of rare because usually owners want to do it because of the extra money, but I don't know if maybe it's just not worth it anymore. I don't know exactly reasons.
And whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just not worth it anymore. And I think too, a lot of the times NFL wants to get the big market teams like your Cowboys, your Los Angeles, your New Yorks, or whatever. So, but no, I think I would be more interested in like the quarterback thing because one, I'm not a Jets fan. Even though I do think this Hard Knocks might be kind of interesting because you do have a really good team, and you kind of have an interesting storyline with Aaron Rodgers leaving for a new team for the first time in his career. So that it might be the first time I actually peep this Hard Knocks in a while. But the idea of the quarterback concept sounds a little bit more interesting to me, just because the fact that it's a newness and it's fresh and it's different. So yeah, I mean, I'd want them to do like more shit. I think they really should. I used to love the I don't know if you guys ever watched it, but the like A Football Life on like NFL Network. Those used to be really good. That's what I learned about like Kirk Cousins' story. I mean, I ended up watching the movie that came out of him recently, America's Underdog or something like that. But I kind of knew about that because on NFL Network they did like A Football Life, and those are really good like hour documentaries, almost like an ESPN 30 for 30. That was really interesting. So, but I think NFL, I mean, they got tons of storylines that they really should utilize it, you know? Start reaching out to, I mean, we all know, like, even though NFL was the first ones to do like this reality show kind of documentary style with Hard Knocks, well, but it was only really popular within NFL fans. But now with like Drive to Survive and all that stuff with F1, what they did with Netflix, they realized they were able to bring something out even beyond what just their normal fan base is. And I think now NFL is trying to do that with the popular names that they have.
You know,
you cut out, JoJo.
I said they reached out to your boy Jalen Hurts, and he actually turned it down. I'm not sure when. I think sometime last season, but he was just, I guess, focused on the season and playoffs and just the Super Bowl overall. But yeah, that's interesting, right? And this guy, he's definitely like dedicated just to his team, and he didn't want any distractions in regards to that.
So is it throughout the previous season? It's basically the show's about following them over this past season.
Yeah, so I think there's like 7 or 8 episodes out already. It's kind of following the storyline from the past season to now. I don't think it's gonna go through, like, it's already out, so it's not like it's gonna go through. But you kind of see their family, them talk, with their families, the off seasons, stuff like that. So it's not current. It's not like it's gonna
update
like
Hard Knocks.
No, it's not like Hard Knocks.
It's not like
it would have been dope if you would have seen like videos or inside stuff of the matchup between Mahomes and Hurts, seeing each other in the Super Bowl. That would have been cool if he actually accepted it, and then we get to see more behind the scenes action on that.
Yo, by the way, did they are they still gonna do the in-season Hard Knocks? I know they started that like I think last year, the year before with like the Colts. Are they still doing that? Because I know it was mostly about preseason and about the bubble guys, but I know they started doing an in-season one.
I think they're still going to do the actual in-season Hard Knocks. I don't know if they're doing in-season Hard. I know the preseason Hard Knocks, maybe the first couple weeks, but I don't think that it usually doesn't last all year long. I don't think so, because that would be like it would have to come out like 2 weeks after or 3 weeks after. I mean, you got to edit it. So it's kind of hard to do it on the fly, like you're just editing storylines on the fly. But
you know what I wish they would do? And I think so far it's been, honestly, to me, it's been the best like sports documentary kind of like thing they've done. Have you guys watched Welcome to Wrexham?
I heard. Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't watched it, but I heard about it.
It's very good. To me, it's probably the best sports documentary, like show documentary thing that they're like of a current team that I've watched so far. It's super good. I don't know if you guys know the story of Wrexham, but it's basically like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney from they basically purchased a team from a 5th division football team from England. And they basically like go through the process of like basically completely restructuring this team and trying to push them towards promotion. It's a really good, and like the approach they take is not so much the team, but more so about like the community and like the fan base that surrounds the team, the town of Wrexham. And I think that'd be cool if NFL or whoever did something more similar to that. Maybe, yes, you follow the team, but then you also sprinkle in like what makes the team so popular, which is the fans that support them, and kind of following their storylines. And if you guys haven't watched it, even if you're not a soccer fan, like it's just a really good like sports story. And they're going to come out season 2 because the season's obviously over, and they're going to.
What platform?
It's on Hulu.
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 I think it's interesting.
Hulu's man.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I think going through the pandemic, one of the biggest things was like Ted Lasso, right? It was kind of like this fake story about this American guy going to England, and also I think it's like part of this trend. Like we talk about the sports, right? Netflix is doing this thing about quarterbacks. You talk about Welcome to Wrexham, which is big and popular. I guess for soccer fans, introducing it's like a platform to introduce American fans to soccer. Yeah,
loved Welcome to Wrexham. She doesn't even watch soccer. She's grown more into liking soccer. But like through watching things like Ted Lasso and watching Welcome to Wrexham, like I know countless people that aren't into soccer but watch Welcome to Wrexham or like watching like Ted Lasso and find it super like interesting because it's not about the sport at that point. It's about the storyline. Yeah. Like I always say Ted Lasso is not a sport. It's not a sports show. It's about
getting you emotionally involved with the story,
the play.
Which is involved with the sport. And then, you just divulge. Like, even for me, like, I'm not the biggest soccer fan out there, but I enjoy watching Ted Lasso, and I'm actually learning a lot from it. But it goes to show that, someone that's, coached a completely different sport, right? It's cohesive within sports, right? It's kind of like the same language.
It's about team building,
and connect with your team and your players in the community. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
If you like Ted Lasso, you would like Welcome to Wrexham because Welcome to Wrexham is essentially like a real life.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's fiction versus nonfiction.
It's about American owners come purchase a team, and it's pretty cool. I recommend anybody to watch.
So and you learn a lot. Do you think that Ted Lasso was inspired by Welcome to Wrexham?
No, that Ted Lasso happened first.
Yeah.
Welcome to Wrexham
this just came out. Welcome to Wrexham just came out. Recently.
Welcome to Wrexham came out last October. And it blew up in popularity because you have the names of Ryan Reynolds, and the thing is, Ryan Reynolds he's a big part of the show, and so is Rob McElhenney's more so part of the show than Ryan Reynolds. But having those star names, they're not just like there to buy the team; they're actually like a part of a lot of the storylines in it, and it's cool because you follow the storyline of like Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, but then it also follows the story of like all the diehard supporters and like fans in Wrexham and the town of Wrexham and what the town is about and why it's like so historic, because they essentially purchased the oldest team in the world, the oldest sports team or the second oldest sports team in the world, one of the oldest. Wrexham FC was like founded in like 1856 or something like that. And they're trying to revive it because it was like at one point it was this historic team that everybody in Europe knew, but then it fell down the dumpsters over the past like 4 or 5 decades, and it's been middling at the 5th division of English football tier. So it's pretty cool. And they just started doing U.S. tours and stuff of like doing the friendlies and stuff here in America.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up because I was kind of interested too. We're talking about also, Netflix has that F1 story, which is kind of like it's not live, like they don't do it week by week. Like you kind of know by the time the show comes out, you already know the results of like the races, and they're showing like the
it's after the season, it's postseason,
yeah. So I'm kind of interested in like that and how. All of a sudden, all these streaming services are interested in like sports stories. You bring up Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is a huge businessman. I know him just through movies, but I'm looking at his business side. Like he had Aviation Gin, which he is a company he sold. I know he has the Mint Mobiles. We saw him on the Super Bowl with those Mint Mobiles.
The dude's in like every YouTube commercial imaginable.
He obviously put in a bid for Wrexham AFC, which he got. He put in a bid for the Ottawa Senators, the hockey team, and he has a partnership or a fellowship with F1 Alpine. So he's kind of an interesting dude. He has business outside of like movies and stuff.
Oh,
so
wow.
I just think. Yeah, I just kind of just interesting, like how
I knew he had the aviation thing, which was big. I knew he was a part of the aviation. I didn't know he was a part of Alpine F1 team and the Senators.
Yeah, in June 2003. So,
and obviously all the movie stuff. And I knew the Mint Mobile because he's like literally on every YouTube ad imaginable.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just found that interesting. The way all these streaming services, whatever. That's it for football. We can move on. Actually, you know what? We're not going to move on because Jojo, you want to talk about Hackett? There's a little Hackett trash talk. Something that piqued your interest.
Listen, Hackett.
So what happened? I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, you got to tell me. You got to explain.
No, listen. Simple terms, man. Hackett was getting interviewed, and basically he just came at. I'm sorry, not Hackett, not Sean Payton was getting interviewed. Of like expectations, right? Of the Broncos this season. How was the coaching last season, and what are you gonna do moving forward? And he basically just called out Hackett, and I quote, "It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL." Because if you actually look at what the Broncos gave to get Russell Wilson, right? And you didn't get your return on investment in for that season. And it all started with that first game going way back to Seattle. We saw all the mishaps, right? The play calling, the time management, lack of leadership. And we knew from well, I was being optimistic, but everyone else kind of saw like, hey, this isn't gonna work.
It's disorganized.
Now we got the general coming in, just to fix things off. And Stephen A. actually went off defending Sean Payton's statements, and that's what we need, right? We need to spark that fire coming into this season. So I think this was a great way to get Bronco fans rallied and excited. But yeah, man, just call out the bullshit, right? Like we all know what it is. Like still he kept it professional, but it was terrible. Like it was a terrible job. Like you had all the pieces you needed: young defense, young receivers, young running backs. Just couldn't make it happen.
I always said that guy was a fraud. I never understood how he got a coaching job because I know Nathaniel Hackett. He was the offensive coordinator for the Jags in that Saxonville season. There's a reason why that season is called Saxonville and not Touchdownville. It's his claim to fame was building up Blake Bortles. That was his claim. But Blake Bortles never was anything. He never turned into anything. If anything, Blake Bortles was the reason why they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. And he went on to then be the offensive coordinator for the Packers. And let's be real, Matt LaFleur was the one that's really pulling the strings, calling the plays. He's the mastermind, and then you also have Aaron Rodgers who can audible and do things and figure out things on his own. Fucking Nathaniel Hackett was just there with a thumb up his ass, with holding a tablet. Like, let's be real. Like, he wasn't doing shit. Like, I never understood that hire of getting Hackett. And then, meanwhile, you could have got Doug Peterson. They didn't even interview him. A Super Bowl winning coach, but then you hire a guy who literally has no claim to fame. So I knew that guy was going to be off. Is he the worst coach in NFL history? I think Urban Meyer would like to have a word with him.
But Nick Saban, NFL.
But I will say Nathaniel Hackett is probably a close second because, Nathaniel Hackett was just dumb. He was not ready to be a coach. He had no experience. He should have never been in that position. Urban Meyer was a con man. Urban Meyer made you think that he knew what he was doing, that he made you realize that he was an asshole, he was dick, he didn't know anything. He thought he was smart, the smartest guy in the room. He would yell at everybody, all this other shit. Meanwhile, he's entering something that he's never been a part of. And honestly, like, him coming to the NFL just exposed how much of a fraud that he really was. And all he ever was just a recruiter. He knew how to sway kids in their living rooms with their parents. He was a recruiter at the end of the day. He was never a football mind. He was never a mastermind. He was never all this. He ended up just being a fucking fraud. And he thought he can my way or the highway in the NFL, and his shit just didn't work out. At the end of the day, you had grown men that was just like, you gonna tell me what to fucking...
Just some quick notes. So obviously Nathaniel Hackett got hired by the Jets, so that's gonna be interesting because we, full circle, we're talking about Hard Knocks. That'll be interesting to watch. Urban Meyer, didn't they announce they're gonna do like a doc? Is it gonna be a 30 for 30 for the 2000 UF Gators? Did they announce that? Is that a story I'm hearing?
You mean the 06? Or the 08?
I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Back to back. Yeah, with the Tim Tebow year.
Yeah, 08, 09, I believe. I think.
What's the name of it? Swamp something?
The Swamp.
They're coming out with that. Dude, that's a crazy story.
Swamp Kings,
especially growing up in Jacksonville and like being around diehard Gator fans and basically being in Gator country, like I remember that shit as a kid. Like those years were like electric for like Gator fans. But then like I remember everybody just looking past like everything with all this going on. Oh my God, Aaron Hernandez, he had issues in college.
Was that Percy Harvin? Was it in that team?
Percy Harvin. You had countless defensive players. I cannot think at the moment because it was. I mean, that was like fucking 15 years ago.
I'll pull up some of the rosters while you talk.
But yeah, I mean, that team was insane. You go back and look at that roster, you're like, holy shit. Like, that was one hell of a team. But then it was a team that had a lot of issues, a ton of issues.
And I think in a doc,
it was all hided by
a controversy, yeah.
Which I had all hided by Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
And then you go back and look at it, like Tim Tebow held that team together like fucking glue. It wasn't Urban Meyer at all.
We got Chris Leak.
That's what.
I'm just looking down lists. Chris Leak, that's a name I recognize. Tim Tebow, AJ Jones.
No, Chris Leak won it. Chris Leak won it in 06. The year they went back to back was 08, 09.
Deshaun Wynn, Reggie Lewis. I'm trying to think of a name. I'm just looking at Jermaine McCullum. I'm just looking up names as I go down the list. But yeah, I mean,
the right team. Yeah, because Chris Leak was the 06 year. They won it that year in 06 with Chris Leak, and Tim Tebow was like a freshman. But then in 08, 09, that was the years Tim Tebow started.
Oh, that's
when they went back to back.
Okay, then no, I was just going down the list. I was just doing quick research. I'm done on the fly.
Man, talk about somebody whose career turned into nothing. Oh yeah, I mean the 2000s were like the year for the Gators. Nothing ever since then. They've been awful since Alabama just took over and ran away with it. But,
I think that's kind of interesting.
Now we're seeing the downfall of Alabama. Thank God. It looks like it's going to be the rise of Georgia.
Yo, is there a projected date on the release for that doc?
Swamp Kings. I'm on the actual the Netflix site. August 22nd. That's actually going to come out. August 22nd.
Does it state how many episodes?
Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, and the Swamp of University of Florida. How many episodes? I don't know.
It's on Netflix or is it an ESPN?
Netflix. It is a Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Netflix. Nice. But, come full circle. We're talking about documentaries and sports and stuff. So I don't know.
I will say, I think Netflix, that's the best shit they do is documentaries. Like, you look back and think about the best shit Netflix has ever made. It's been fucking documentaries.
Fucking Tiger King out here.
Yo, that was a moment. Yo.
F1. I mean, never forget Tiger King. Man.
All right.
You should be in that.
Let's talk about what Julian wants to talk about most, because obviously he's wearing a shirt. He has that hot pink. It's hot in South Florida. He's wearing that hot pink. Let's talk about Dry Pink Stadium, the biggest acquisition in South Florida. The biggest acquisition in South Florida since, I don't know.
The biggest acquisition in America.
Since LeBron James? Since LeBron James? I don't know.
It's not even close.
LeBron. I'm talking about South Florida. I don't care about America. I'm talking about South Florida. All right.
If it's the biggest in America, it's bigger than South Florida. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, saying LeBron's entrance to Miami was bigger than Messi's is disrespectful.
All right, we're gonna get our first thoughts right here because Julian's after we record this.
Until I see a ring, I see a ring at Dry Pink Stadium.
Do it in the playoffs.
Listen, man.
Anyway, but let's talk about it. Hey, I just want to give a shout out also Real Fans FC because he hasn't recorded it yet, so we're getting our first thoughts. We're getting the raw Julian first thoughts. Messi acquisition. Listen, I was a hater. I was like, listen, when I see him in a uniform, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. And guess what? I saw it. It's happened. All right. They played a couple games. He scored a couple goals. Julian, I'm gonna let you go off real quick. I know you're gonna do a podcast after this. You're gonna do the actual soccer podcast, Real Fans FC. But give us your first thoughts on Messi.
So I was one of the few lucky 22,000 people that can say that they were there at Lionel Messi's entrance to the United States. And it's funny, I've been hearing everybody say, like, everybody in South Florida is going to say that they were there over the next couple of decades. Like, everybody in South Florida is going to say they're there.
I'm going to say I was there, and I was.
I'm good with the TV, bro. I watch it on TV.
Jojo's going to use my video I sent him. He's like, bro, this is me taking this. No, but it was incredible. You couldn't ask for a better debut. It was magic, man. Like, it was literally, you couldn't write it any better. I mean, everybody's been saying it was scripted. It's like this thing was scripted. It really, it felt like it was. I mean, the team took a lead 1-0. Messi comes in after halftime around the 55th minute. the crowd just starts roaring, like with Messi going in, just Messi chants. I mean, the place was electric. It was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen, probably the best. It was insane. Like the passion was ridiculous. He comes in and just there's something about watching somebody who's the best to ever do it in person was almost like a spiritual experience. Like I'm not even bullshitting.
God. Close to Jesus.
It was no, but like for real though,
Ohtani strike out Trout, and I'm like,
okay, yeah,
out of body.
it's the baseball guys, the soccer guys.
It's unreal, and especially like it. I mean, there's a reason why it's called the beautiful game. It's just watching it. This is like literally the name of it. It's like the. Soccer is called football is called the beautiful game, and like watching him play, it's literally like a thing of magic. It's man, the way he passes, perfectly weighted passes, perfectly aimed shots, the vision, like just his vision is unreal. It's like you think he has eyes in the back of his head, like being able to see somebody and then curl the ball over cross field and be directly at their feet with a perfect lead for them to then it's like watching a guy at work that's the best to ever do it. And as somebody, I've watched a lot of soccer games in person. Obviously I've watched like probably over 100 Messi games on TV. I've watched him a ton on TV, but watching him in person is something different. It's like it's genuinely different. It's like, how the fuck did he see that? How did he do that? It's literally magic. It's insane.
This is how people felt watching Jordan back in the day. Like this is how they describe.
You know what? I want to bring that up. I want to bring because you can tell just by watching him. You can tell he's the best person on the field. Yeah. Like you can tell. Like
the moment he touches the ball, it's like there's a certain fear that's instilled in like every player on that field on that pitch.
And I've seen the videos. Not to cut you off because I'm enjoying the story, but just even watching off Instagram. Him setting up his teammates, his, like you said, his touches, right? And his passing. And I'm just like, yo, this isn't fair, bro. Like you
got a cheat code.
The difference level in talent, right? Just based off fundamentals. And the way he's just carrying himself on the field, like no sweat. Like he's cruising. Oh, got the man over there. Something that looks so complicated, right? Like he's passing the ball with like this amount of space in between people. Like you could see. So I can imagine what you're seeing live or what you saw live.
Yeah, and it's what's always gets me too, and I love about like watching like some of the best like number 10s, like attacking midfielders in the world or ever is just like how like perfectly like weighted balls are for like the strikers or the wingers up top. It's like being able to like see somebody like see a lane and see a channel to lead it through in a tight window, and then it'd be the perfect amount of weight to just be directly in front of the net for the person then who's going to score the goal to be set up perfectly to do whatever they want. And then too, he just elevates everybody. Like, I mean, I've watched every game from this team since its inception. So I'm a day one. I've been here since the beginning. Like
bona fides.
And seeing these players completely elevate themselves to a level. And like seeing Messi be like a general and like coach people out there. He's like, when you see me coming, I want you to cross over, watch the second lane. Like he's even telling people where to pass, like over there. Like the dude's, he's thinking 5 steps ahead of everybody. And then on top of that, you have longtime teammate Sergio Busquets, who is arguably he's for sure the greatest center defensive midfielder in our generation. The dude has immaculate vision, and having him combined with Messi, dude, it was like, I mean, I guess for you guys, it's like Jordan and Pippen. It was like they knew where each other were going to be before they were even there. They were finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah,
because I mean, these guys
boost for the rest of the MLS, man. Like
and these guys like Busquets and Messi, man, like they've been playing together since they were like teenagers. And like they just separated when Messi went to PSG, and now Messi comes here. Busquets leaves Barcelona to come over here, and it's like they weren't even separated for 2 years. And like I always heard this great quote, and I actually like it, and I tried it out, and it's like, holy shit, they're right. It's like you can watch a game and not notice Busquets is there, but then you can watch Busquets and see the whole game. And it's like, and you're right. So I spent like a good 15 minutes of just following Busquets, not even following the ball. And you're basically watching the game. Like the guy just knows positionally well. He sees things like he's essentially like an extension of Messi, just farther back, playing from the back and bringing it forward to then feed to Messi, then the Messi bring it up to the top. And just seeing those two like combine. I was a big, and people who watch Real Fans FC, I was saying, man, Busquets, he's too old. I have somebody who, I'm a Barcelona fan. I fell in love with soccer through watching Barcelona. I was like, I watched Busquets last season. I'm like, this dude just doesn't have it left. But the way that they're setting up this team here in Miami, they're putting runners around him. And that's what I was worried was like, oh shit, like how are they going to keep up? Like, how's he going to keep up? And then they're putting runners around him. But then, goes to the second game that they just played against Atlanta and just absolutely wiped the floor with Atlanta. Destroyed him 4-0. And he's like turning this team that was one of the worst in the league to now easily one of the most dangerous teams like you do not want to face on this continent.
What else would you expect?
Robbie Taylor.
And for those
game, Messi had 2 goals and 2 assists, right? Yeah. And his teammate had those 2 goals.
Robbie Taylor?
I don't know.
He had 2 goals and 1 assist, and Robert Taylor had 2 goals and 1 assist that game.
Yeah.
I've always been a huge Robert Taylor fan. I've always loved Robert Taylor before Messi's came. I always thought this guy is good. He's Neymar light. He's like obviously not Neymar, but he's like Neymar light. And I called it like on Real Fans FC. You can go back. I was like, bro, this guy is going to light it up with Messi because he brings me elements of what Neymar was back at Barcelona. And I'm like, when he combines with Messi, that shit's just going to work. And then sure enough, I let you hear Messi scores twice, gets the brace, and then Robert Taylor hits an incredible volley off the left side of the post and just straight up to the top of the net. And then he comes runs. Bro, he ran 12 seconds. He ran to the
ran fast.
In 12
that break,
seconds.
You talking about that break? Oh, my God.
Yeah. The final goal, man, he ran that whole field in 12 seconds. And then to finish, insane. It's awesome. And I was telling all my friends that I work with over at the stadium, like, Robert Taylor's undroppable. And then when he I was saying that before this past game. And then this past game, he bags in 2 goals. And I'm like, this guy is unbelievable. And then this isn't even over. The team is still adding some. Like, we just got Busquets and Messi.
Yeah.
There's still Jordi Alba, who's to come, which obviously longtime Barcelona teammate of Messi and Busquets on the left back. And now you have 3 young studs from South America that are coming. One is one of the most promising defenders in Argentina coming over here, purchased him for $9 million coming over here. Then there's another left winger from Argentina who is one of the top prospects coming out of there. And then you got a guy from Paraguay who is another big prospect in the central midfield. So it's like there's still 4 more players to add to this team. And this team is already fucking looking deadly as shit. Obviously no MLS games have been played yet. This is Leagues Cup. This is like the March Madness tournament I was telling you guys about between Liga MX and MLS. Yeah. So they just, with this win against Atlanta, they advanced to the round of 32. If you get into third place,
that was the first game of the tournament.
Yeah, the Brazil.
Messi pretty much opened the tournament. And if you get the top 3 in this tournament, you get automatic qualifications into the Champions League.
Hey, you guys have a shot, and then having Messi there to go into Champions League, like holy shit for Inter Miami. Like,
and to put
and then it's not even that. We could possibly get the treble, like at least the double, because Inter Miami is still in the U.S. Open Cup, which is basically a domestic cup from all levels of the pyramid in U.S. soccer. The winner of the whole tournament also qualifies to the Champions League. And we're in the semifinals in that, and then we're not going to play the semifinals until late August, whenever, because they kind of play that tournament sporadically throughout the season. So we're still in that one, and we could make a run on this. It's like we can get the double, get 2 cups this season. after being the worst team. And then I genuinely think there's a shot we can make the playoffs. Like we're out of 12 games. There's 12 games left in the season. We have to win 8 of them. We have to get at least 8 wins and 1 tie to get in. Yeah, to get a chance. Yeah, because as people were like averaging out what it takes to get into 9th place.
Yeah,
and
I
was
what
skeptical
at
first.
Right? I'm looking at some Inter Miami tickets. You might see me at one of these games.
Bro, I recommend if you can try to go. I know it's expensive. This past week, they didn't sell out, and a lot of people think it's because the ticket prices are too high. I mean, even the team was selling it for $180, and that's before what Ticketmaster throws whatever fucking fees they like to put on there and then tax. So they brought down the ticket prices a little bit more.
They're around right now 132, 138 for the next few games.
Yeah, so for the next game, I think it's Wednesday.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
And they
it's not bad, but it still needs to be lower.
Expensive city. Yes, super expensive city.
And
I understand the Messi effect.
And plus, you got to travel to north.
These locals are not going to pay $400 to go to a
and that's
you don't gotta like that. Yeah.
And that's like a whole other discussion because it's getting like you don't want to get to the point where this team just turns into like a tourist trap where you're building no real support outside of the people that already who were lucky enough and were already fans. I won't even say lucky, but people who already supported the team and they have season tickets for the rest of the year. But you don't want to fill up the stadium with people who don't care about the team or just here from Argentina just to watch them play and then go back home. Like
even the local fans that didn't buy season tickets, who can't afford season tickets, who enjoyed going to the game.
You're pricing them out.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like that's your support.
And then and then there are
draw, so.
Yeah, and I follow Inter Miami Twitter, so there's a lot of fans out there that are like they're priced out. Like people who maybe went to like every other game, they didn't want to buy season tickets, but they go to the games a lot. Like somebody like my girlfriend, for example, she likes to go to the games a lot, but now it's kind of like it's priced out. Like that's a lot. And then if you're talking about like the standard family of 4, like a guy like your dad, you want to bring your wife and your 2 kids. I mean, you're talking about $500, and those are probably more. Just to take your, and then we're not even talking about parking.
Food.
They increased the parking prices to $70 on the lot.
Holy shit!
$70.
That's unheard of. I don't care. It doesn't matter what sport, what stadium.
That's ridiculous.
$70 for parking. The max.
And if you go,
it's like $30-$40.
20, 20
for a Dolphins game.
And that's what it was. It used to be $17 for the lot. It used to be $17. Now you're talking about $70. It's getting out of hand, and I think they're starting to notice it because, like I said, they've started to drop the prices. I don't know what the parking is going to be like for this next game on Wednesday for the round of 32 game. But I mean, dude, it's insane. It's ridiculous.
I want to counter.
Uber will be cheaper.
I want to counter what Julian says because guess what? Like. You have the spectacle, okay? You got the greatest player in the world. He's playing great. He's shooting all these shots, 3 goals in 2 days, whatever. He only played 100 minutes, 3 goals or whatever. I don't know what the stat is.
114 minutes and 3 goals and 2 assists.
You got to ride that wave. Listen, as much as I know how you're saying, I hope this grows the actual team because you're talking about growing the team. But overall, you're growing the sport, right? You're grabbing attention. For right now, in the middle of the summer, there's no NFL being played. There's no, the Marlins are playing right now.
Oh,
but I think right now, Inter Miami has the attention of South Florida. So, that comes at a sacrifice, right? You say, hey, you want to grow the sport, have actual real fans who actually love the team, go there. I say, ride the wave. You have all the attention. MLS, you have the worst team in the MLS. They have the worst record. They're fighting for 9th place or whatever place they're going to fight to barely get into the playoffs. You have all the attention, and the team has to ride the wave as a marketing kind of thing. Like I said, you have, I understand that you're trying to grow the team, but this gives you attention to maybe possibly grow the team. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah, but you also, I also think that you have to get to the point where you don't want it to be like Messi retires and then we're back to where we were. It's like you want to build fandom, and the people that live here, that are here locally, that are priced out and can't go to the games, That's where you build that. At the end of the day, Messi's only going to be here for 2.5 years. And like you said, you're putting people in a position who would have never watched soccer that now they're like, oh, Messi's here?
It's an event.
But then they look at the price and they're like, well, I can't go. And then who's to say? You might have lost that kid who was 5 years old, whose dad took him to a game because his dad maybe never watched soccer, but he's like, well, shit, we got to see Messi. Now that kid was inspired to play because he saw what I saw. You know what I mean? But you're missing out on that chance.
Was like you said, it wasn't sold out. That's the issue right there. I don't care how much you want to put these tickets for. Like the goal is to sell out the stadium. You want people in the seats, fill the seats. Yeah. So if you have the greatest player to ever play, and there are missing seats because the tickets are too expensive, like, are you really like justifying? Like, it doesn't balance, right? You can have $500 tickets. You're making the money, but you have more people watching at home that would rather be there, but they can't afford to be there.
Yeah, and even like resellers, it's not even worth for the resellers to buy tickets and resell because they're so expensive. It's like no one's going to buy my resale ticket, which in a way I kind of like, but in another aspect, it shows how expensive the tickets are.
Julia, and I want to talk to what you said earlier, like how you're discussing, like, yo, I can watch this thing on TV. Like I'm in Austin, Texas. I can watch this thing on TV and be like, yo, I can see greatness. But to actually see it in person, like it's a whole different experience. So like, this is like a kind of like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. The best player in the world, historic player, an icon, a legend. To actually see him in person, like it's a whole different feel. So kind of combining what you said earlier with what Joe was talking about, is like you gotta fill that stadium because like this is like Jordan. This is whatever you want to say, Jordan, LeBron. You want to say I don't know, Serena Williams. I don't know, the greatest players, icons, history makers. Like this is the time to actually watch the sport and grab their attention and kind of like, hey, we're witnessing greatness, if I can say that.
And I mean MLS and just soccer is in such a unique position because look, you sign Messi. Now next summer you're having the second largest tournament, second to third largest tournament in the world in Copa America, which essentially is a mini World Cup on this side of the hemisphere. Is going to be hosted in the United States, which most likely is going to have a game here, and Messi's probably going to start for Argentina. A massive thing. Then in 2025, you have the Club World Cup, which essentially all the biggest clubs in the world, which is if you win the Champions League, you qualify for the Club World Cup. It's going to be here hosted in America. And then in 2026, you have the World Cup. So it's like you have this 4-year span where you need to get as much fandom as you can. You are in a unique proposition that you will probably never have, ever, in this country. So it's like you have to take advantage of it. And I still think it's like I genuinely believe like how you inspire fans and like kids and people who want to play and watch the sport is like I said, it's one thing to watch it on TV, and I fell in love with sports watching it through TV, don't get me wrong. But like when you see it in person and you see it, it's like, oh shit, like I want to be that guy. Like, and I think, if you're just pricing out everybody to where it's just a bunch of celebrities or like rich people all over South Florida,
Kim Kardashian,
it's just the place to be. You're building.
They did that with the Miami Heat, man. That's why it was like, not to interrupt you, Julian, but Miami is such a bandwagon sports city.
But here's where the Miami Heat kept people like Gabe and I don't want to say Gabe. Gabe's been a Miami fan forever, but I'm saying people who maybe like kids who grew up during that like Wade era. The reason why they kept those, I think the one exception with the Heat was that they consistently kept on winning. Even once after 2014, they weren't contenders, but they were still pushing for playoff spots.
Winning
they were still good. Outside of that Michael Beasley second overall draft pick year, like Heat have always been kind of relevant. Who's to say like once Messi's gone? I think ownership. I trust the ownership here with David Beckham and Jorge Mas to keep the team relevant and spend money. But like, who's to say like after a bad season, like the track that we were on this season, who's to say that happens 2 years after what's it like? And like you said, it's a very bandwagon thing. And if you don't have those diehard fans like me or the people in the supporter section, all the supporter groups that have been able to, those are going to be the people that stay no matter how bad.
No matter what.
Yeah. If you're not able to grow that fan base because you've only allowed the wine and cheese crowd into the games, it's like how do you build that unless you consistently stay relevant? But like you said, they can't even sell out the 22,000 because they're so damn expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're here. We're talking about, hey, we need a bigger stadium because we're gonna have constant sellouts and people waiting outside. So to me, that was a surprise hearing that. Like the game, like it might not sound like a.
Don't get me wrong, it was full.
Like, yeah, no, for sure.
It was like maybe, I don't know, 95%. But at the end of the day, like you said, we have fucking Messi. This is 22,000 seats.
Yeah,
that shit should not have a seat available for the rest of the fucking year.
People should be jumping over fences to get inside.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was like envisioning. Like people jumping over fences trying to get in.
Dude, people are waiting outside on Ticketmaster till last minute. And I heard a lady, she got in for she got in. She was waiting outside, and she got in for like $70, literally like 5 minutes before kickoff. She was just sitting there on Ticketmaster because you get all these resellers like shit. Like I bought these things for fucking $200 thinking I could sell it for $500, and then whatever, I got to get something back. But I've been seeing people do that. But the team, I think minimum that, I mean, it should be what it was before. I would want to see tickets got to at least be $90. Like, come on, like at least honestly, let people
Julian, in. Like, we should have done that for the NBA Finals. We should have just waited outside of Kaseya and just see if the tickets drop.
Maybe. You never know. Speaking of,
I do want to ask your guys' opinion. Have you guys watched any of the games? Do you plan on watching it? I know you guys got T-Mobile. Get your MLS season pass.
I know. I watch on Univision. That's all I watch on. I don't have
cable. So listen, check it, Julian. I'm telling you, man. You got Apple TV game? No, I don't have it. Get me soon. You guys are gonna get me soon. T-Mobile Tuesdays calling my name. They're promoting Messi. I get to watch, every game free on Apple TV, and I'm this close to subscribing, man. I'm almost there, man. I'm like right there.
You gotta do it, man. You gotta watch it.
One more game passes by. Let me see a little more hype.
Look, there's a good chance that we might face Orlando in the round of 32, and that game's gonna be wild and gonna be insane.
It's your rival.
If we face Orlando, you gotta go. And Gabe, download Apple TV on your TV or your whatever, because that shit's on any smart TV. I can hook you up with something. I got like extra shit.
We'll talk after this.
You need to watch. And also too, Gabe, even sometimes they do free games. A lot of times they do. And now with Messi, they're probably going to be a good amount of free games on Apple TV, just like they do with MLB. Because a lot of people don't realize you just need to have an Apple account and you can get into Apple TV and watch like free episodes and watch free games and shit. Because I used to watch the MLB Friday night thing before I even subscribed to Apple TV. It was just there for free. They just want you on the app, and they'll give away some free games every week. There's like they'll tell you like on MLS Twitter, there's like what game's free or whatnot. But then obviously to get into everything, you gotta subscribe.
And again, to bring it full circle,
right?
I have T-Mobile. I do have T-Mobile.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, go to your download T-Mobile Tuesday app. It's right there.
Listen, that's how I got. Shout out T-Mobile Tuesday. Last 5 seasons of MLB
saved you
for free. For free. Got to watch every Yankee game. I'm on the road. I'm at work. I'm in the shower. I got it playing on my phone.
You're gonna say bring it full circle. Apple TV, probably. They made a side deal.
MLB. I thought about MLB TV, but I watch the Marlins mostly. That's like the only baseball team I watch.
That's local.
It's on regular cable. Yeah, it's on local cable. So yeah. So I'm like, I thought about getting it, but I'm like, I don't really care to watch any other team like outside of the Marlins. So, and they're on local TV. So I'm like, I'm just gonna. That's why I haven't done it. But for you, it makes sense because you want to watch the Yankees. So that's the only way to really watch every game.
Also, I don't know, y'all. I've been seeing ads already for YouTube because we talked about. I think previously on episodes before we talked about the NFL being on what app is it?
YouTube TV.
YouTube TV. YouTube. So I've been getting ads for that. Like, hey, sign up now, $50 less of whatever. So
sign up now,
dude. I would do that, but that shit's insane. Have you looked at the price for that shit? Like,
yeah, it's like
it's like $300.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here, bro.
For 17 weeks and not even playoffs.
Sunday ticket.
Wait, can you watch every team, like every game?
Yeah, you can watch every game and then you get the red zone. But like, $300.
I'd rather just get the red zone.
Yeah, I would be perfectly straight if I can just get red zone, but they won't let you do that. They really need to come out, and they probably won't ever do it. It's just a single team package. Like if I can just get like
the Dolphins, all
the Jags, or Gabe gets all the Dolphins, and then like red zone. That'd be perfect because I just want to watch my Jags and then red zone. I don't care about watching full-fledged games unless it's a prime time, like Monday night or Sunday night or whatever.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk real quick. World Cup, because World Cup's going on. United States Women's National Team. They just played last night against Sweden.
Netherlands.
Netherlands. Yeah. I'm not gonna say Damas against Netherlands. I think their first game they played against Vietnam, which we won 3-0. But if you look at the DraftKings or any of the sports books, whatever you wanted, there was like a 6.5 point. That was the line. They're projected to go.
They were supposed to win by like 7, 8 goals. Apparently,
7-8 goals, but they won 3-0. And then
3-0 wasn't enough apparently to some people. Like that was trash talking.
Man, Vietnam had no shots and no shots on target. That's insane.
But
not a single shot.
But obviously they played last night again. They tie it up 1-1 with a late goal by Horan. I don't know if you guys seen. I'm gonna go to Julian because he's our soccer expert. I don't know if he's been watching the Women's Cup. It's been tough. So last night they've been playing. They played at a decent hour. They play at like 9:00 our time.
They try to line it up for us.
But most of the games are like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Kind of tough to watch, and they'll replay it later, like on Fox and whatever, DirecTV and stuff. But what are you guys taking away so far? I'm gonna go to Julian first. The national team. How do you feel about their performance so far? Underperforming.
Wow.
To be honest, I haven't watched the United States team. I did watch my Las Ticas, but they are just bad. They're not good. Spain obliterated them. But no, I mean, I heard coming into look, I'm not going to act like I watch women's soccer a lot. I mean, if it's on out there, I think what doesn't help is like what you said, like the middle of the night thing is tough. Like, I mean, once I go to bed, I'll kind of like chill out in bed and like kind of watch some of the stuff, but I can't like really like sit down and watch the games normally like I was able to with this past Men's World Cup because the way the time is just that New Zealand Australia shit is impossible to watch.
I mean, you've been over there, right? How was that jet lag, coming back and forth, right?
It's a whole 12 hours, right? 12, 13 hours.
No, it's like
well, I know to get there it's like 26. It's like
they're like they're a full day ahead. Like we're a day behind. They're in the future, essentially.
That's wild.
So, no, but I heard coming into this, like, there's a good chance the women's team could get dethroned because, from what I understand, this is kind of the last World Cup for a lot of the
veterans on the team.
The veterans that won the past two. They're still the favorites to win this one because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, women's soccer here, or women's sports in general, is just so much farther ahead than the rest of the world. I mean, the United States has about a 30 to 40 year head start in women's sports compared to everybody else in Europe, and especially like in Africa and Latin America and Asia. Like those countries, only really Europe is starting to kind of catch up with the United States. And then we're starting to kind of see it down in South America with Brazil and Argentina, or Brazil specific mostly, kind of catching up with like more like women's academies and stuff like that. And I mean, we're seeing it this year with the European. I mean, obviously Europe already has the infrastructure with what they have with the men's team. It's just about kind of bringing that over to the women's. And now it seems like it's going to be a pretty tough uphill battle for the women's team, especially since like there seems to be a lot of new people on there. So yeah, I mean, they win. That'd be awesome. If they can get the three-peat, that'd be pretty insane. But they do got some tough competition. I know England, they won the women's Euros this past year, and they were looking really good. I know the Spanish team looks very good. I've watched them a couple times already, and they're a really deadly team. So I think it's gonna be really interesting once we get out of the group stage. I think the group stages are all kind of like set up to like we know who's going to win. I'm just really interested to get into like the knockout rounds. So against some of these powerhouses, I mean, the Netherlands, outside of from the shot department, they look like they really. I'm looking at it now. They own possession, passing, and pass accuracy. Is really just United States had more shots and more shots on target. And Netherlands is just, I mean, they're a football powerhouse too. At the end of the day, I mean, they have one of the best like academies and leagues in the world. So, I mean, we'll see as time goes on. They're definitely I guess they're tied with Netherlands right now in the standings.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think they play next. They play Portugal next. I think it's the next game that they play.
Yes, they're going to play Portugal.
If they would have played well in this game, again, I'm gonna call it disappointing. This is so far the women's experience, right?
I mean, you expect them to win at the end of the day.
I expect them to dominate. That's what I expect them to do. Because listen, I'm not a huge soccer fan. B, I know the women's team is way better than
the Netherlands. This is the Netherlands. I mean, you're talking about these European nations are, like I said, catching up to the United States. Again, I say the United States should have won, but like for them to dominate like a country like the Netherlands,
weren't they in the World Cup final like 4 years ago against the U.S. or am I wrong?
No, the Netherlands just beat the United States this past World Cup in the round of 16.
No, I'm talking about the Women's World Cup 4 years ago.
Oh, women's? Oh.
Wasn't that the finals matchup, or am I wrong?
I'll have to look that up but the thing I wanted to bring up was this is a stat I found. We don't have to talk about it, but they haven't trailed since obviously the Netherlands goes up. The last time they trailed in a match was July 10, 2011 against Brazil. And the women's teams they've been dominating.
You are right. And the United States beat Netherlands 2-0 in the finals.
There you go.
So that's what I said. Like, you expect them to beat the Netherlands, but like, this is still the Netherlands. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think this team is kind of interesting because it's a mix of very young and very old, right? We have a lot of changing of the guard.
Alex Morgan.
Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, as kind of the older players, Kelly O'Hara. And you got kind of the mid players, Rose Lavelle, who had a great World Cup last year. And you got kind of the young players. Sophia Smith was huge that first game against Vietnam, scoring like one of the, I think she was like second youngest player to score on the American team. So I think so far it's been, to me, like I said, disappointing. I expect them to dominate. I expect them to score 12 goals every game.
12 goals? Right,
I mean,
your expectations are way too high, dude.
Do you feel like they're legit that good, or is their competition just that bad?
I think that they are a good team. Like I said, this is a mix of young and old. So this is like the old guard with the new guard. They are a good team. They are expected to win, like Julian said earlier. I also do recognize that the competition has gotten better. Teams like Japan, Philippines. Shout out to Philippines. First World Cup qualifying, first goal. I saw like the fan reactions to that stuff. Shout out to them. So there's major teams out there. New Zealand is kind of being a home because it's between Australia. They're hosting in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, they're co-hosting.
They're joint host. Yeah.
So they're kind of expected to be like kind of the underdogs, a better team. I do think competition has gotten better. I still expect America to win. I'm sorry. That's just my. We should not be struggling. We should not be struggling for a 1-1 tie. I'm sorry. That's just not what.
I'll say this. And mind you,
that was the first time, and I think in 17 games across the World Cup that they were down a goal, that they didn't have a lead.
That's what I'm saying.
Being down 1-0.
I mean, I've heard from a lot of people who like follow this because when I work, I kind of put on like the Golazo network on, which is just like the CBS like free channel on Pluto or like on Paramount Plus. I just kind of have that on, and they with the Women's World Cup coming up, a lot of former players and stuff are saying like, yes, the United States are favorites to win it and get the three-peat, but like the world is really catching up. And it's pretty quick for especially these European nations to catch up because, like I said, they have that infrastructure already. It's just about the fact that the United States women's team has had a 30-year, 40-year head start with women's sports. And now for really Europe, they started allowing that more often, or become more socially acceptable for like women's sports to be more popular more recently in like the past like 10, 15 years. So you're talking about like, I think the thing with the Women's World Cup is you have the top like 5, and then after that, it really falls off a cliff. It's not super tight. because I would say you have your powerhouses like England, Spain, United States, Netherlands. Like you have that, and Brazil. But then after that, it kind of falls off like pretty like fast from what I understand. But I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the U.S. lose. I think they're going to win, but I would not be surprised if they lost to the likes. I mean, we'll see how this group finishes out and what their bracket's going to look like. Because now with this draw being thrown in there, it's going to be a little weird.
Obviously,
I think they still should get top because of goal differential. What's their goal differential right now? 3. So unless that's going to come down to if the Netherlands can like absolutely bulldoze, like how hard they're going to bulldoze Vietnam.
Yeah,
like if and how well Portugal could hold up.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, you get points for tying, you get points for winning. So, but that goal differential is kind of what's bothering me about this whole thing.
It's a deal breaker.
Yeah. So,
I mean, they still have 2 more games in this round, right?
I think
just one more.
I think they can get out the group.
Every team once. Yeah, there's one more. Yeah.
I think they can get out the group, but
they're already guaranteed out the group. Pretty much.
But I want to see more convincing wins. You got to be more. To me, more convincing wins. I'm sorry. Like you can't be scuffling. This is like the Americans men team tying with England. It's like, yeah, that's kind of a win, but also like if you kind of dominate, if you're trying to say you're going to the next level, you're trying to, like, you know what I mean? I feel like we're on the far like in my eyes. I'm saying
England should have.
In my eyes,
dominated the U.S.
The first couple games, to me, in the women's team, the first couple games, it feels like a downtrend, and I don't like the downtrend. Like, come on, like y'all gotta do.
I mean, there's ebbs and flows, man.
Predict the next score of this of the next game.
Portugal, 2-1. 2-1 USA.
2. Wow, you're downplaying it like that.
2-1.
2-1.
I go 2-0. I think they 2-0.
They were supposed to score 7 against Vietnam.
This is going to be their breakout game, 3-1.
We'll see. Hey, listen.
I will say and then like I think they should with that they have a 2-goal advantage in the goal differential, so they should like get first in the group. Unless, like I said, Netherlands absolutely obliterates Vietnam like 5-0. Like
don't make it close. Listen, everybody's coming for America. They know we're going for that three-peat. Right, everybody knows that. Like, there's a target on your back. Like, you gotta win and win convincingly. Like, don't even make it close.
I think
don't struggle.
You gotta hope. Comfortable. You can't get too comfortable, man. We all know they already have the last 2 World Cups. I don't know who was the last team to ever 3-peat or if it's ever been done.
I know.
No. And it's always tough, right, to have the veteran cast there to stay motivated. Or find out what their motivation is, right? Is it to actually get the 3-peat? Is it to mentor the younger players to carry on the legacy, right? So they're kind of stuck in the middle there. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that as we go through the tournament.
All right, so that's it for we'll talk about it as the matches happen. Obviously, it's going to be in the middle of the night, so we'll get updates as we go along. But I just want to finish with baseball. Do a little baseball talk, a little baseball update. Finally, the Marlins, Sandy Alcantara, finally has a good game. He finally threw a complete game against the Tampa Bay Rays. Threw 97 pitches. He threw 74 strikes. 97 pitches, 74 strikes. And finally had a complete game this year. And Sandy has been not having a great year this year. Julian, I don't know how much. Yeah, coming off of a Cy Young year.
Been quiet.
Yeah, it's been rough.
They even had a ceremony for him. They had a Sandy Alcantara Cy Young bobblehead giveaway a few weeks ago. So I don't even think he got to win that game.
It's been rough.
Yeah,
it's been rough. But he finally had a good game.
Marlins are coming off an 8-game skid. 8 game losses.
Yeah,
in a row.
I was going to say, I will say, from the Sandy not performing so well, it's been made up for with the way Arias has been playing out of his fucking mind. So if you can get everybody linking up again like they did a couple weeks ago, like you said, this 8-game skid has been tough. But
yeah, I mean, so with that 8-game skid, you guys actually dropped behind the Phillies now, which you had early on in the season, like 5-6 game advantage. So Marlins 55-48. Half a game back.
I was gonna say half a game out the wild card.
They're right there. Atlanta's been dominant. I don't think you're going to catch up to Atlanta this season.
Atlanta's probably going to go back to back. I'm calling it now. I think Atlanta's going back to back.
They're very dominant team. They're going to be the number one coming out. So we got to fight for that wild card.
140 run differential.
Yeah,
insane.
Crazy.
That's insane.
And Miami's been winning
close. Only the Rangers have more.
Yeah. And
150.
The Rangers played a crazy game last night. I don't know if you saw JoJo.
The Grand Slam
against the Astros. 13.
And guess what? Guess who I'm rooting for in that division?
Who you rooting for?
The damn Rangers. All right, because fuck the Astros.
So fuck the Astros. I'm the same note too.
Listen, man, I don't want them winning the division. I don't want to see them in the playoffs.
I didn't want to see them in the fucking World Series.
I don't want to see them in the wild card. I'm over them.
I'm done with the Astros. Yo. we're on the same page, yo. Fuck the Astros.
You know who's been immensely disappointing has been the Mets.
Oh,
went off and spent so much money.
We actually just beat them last night. We split a 2-game series with them, crosstown rivals. They're not looking too good. I mean, we're not looking too great either. But 47-54 for the Mets. That's actually one of the biggest disappointments so far in the MLB. Is this Mets team, man? It's unfortunate. Their closer went out in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
That was not a great way to start your season. You got 2 Hall of Fame pitchers on your team, and I don't know what's going on, man. You have amazing infielders. You have Pete Alonso. You got Lindor. I don't know. I haven't watched enough Mets games to really critique and see what's going on and assess. Right,
but the hype. The hype at the beginning of the season to now.
Listen, man, if you're behind the Marlins after spending all that money, no offense to the Marlins, but you're doing something wrong here, right? Even the Phillies had a shitty start to the season. They had Harper was out, an injury, and there are high expectations for them as well. I have no idea what's going on.
Nah. You know who's slowly been climbing up the ranks, and it's been kind of quiet, at least outside of Chicagoland, is the Cubbies. The Cubbies are killing it right now.
Here we go.
They are 4.5 games outside of the wild card. The Cubs. I mean, look, for real though, they've actually been on a little bit of a run.
Little 5-game win streak.
7 out of 3. I mean, 7 out of 10. I mean, they've been playing pretty well, and from what I've been seeing, everybody's been saying they've been playing pretty well. But I think this is gonna be a really, really tight race for this wild card spot this next month because
I'll tell you now.
The Marlins cannot afford to do what they just did. Luckily, they're only a half a game out of the wild card, but it's man, you had a solid lead. You can't go 2-8 in your last 10, man. That is, you cannot do that when this race that is that tight. And you had a solid gap. And luckily, that gap, when you went on that skid, you had enough leeway to still be in it. But you can now you're at a position where you cannot do that again. You cannot do that again if you want to stay.
My biggest question for the Marlins was how long can you do this, right? How long can you hold on to it for? We've seen it in the past, especially in that division where the Marlins are. Teams trade places, man. Last season, the Mets were in first place of the division the entire season, and then boom, here come the Braves, right? So there's some competition there.
Look, you got 5 games. You got 5 teams within a 1-game spread. It's super. And then behind that, you got the Cubs at 4.5, the Padres at 6.5, and then the Mets at 7.5. So with the amount of games that are left, that's going to be. I mean, you're talking about 8 teams that are really in kind of a race right now. You cannot afford to take your foot off the gas.
Yeah. And they're different.
So what's up? What do the Marlins need to do to get into that wild card spot? Is it pitching opportunities, base running, hitting? What's going on here? What are you seeing from them?
I think offensively they've kind of they've gone over, right? It's kind of superseded what I expected in the beginning of the season. I was like, these are a bunch of nobodies. Araya, I was like, who the hell? So as far as offensively, they've been superseding. I think relief pitching. Relief pitching is one. Sandy's got to pitch better. He's had a whole half year of not pitching well.
Starters got to come through.
We've known that they've had an easy season going into the All-Star weekend and coming towards the end of the year. This is a tough part of the schedule. Like, this is going to be tough. And it's not looking good, right? They have a 19 point differential, a minus 19 point differential. And the Cubs and the Padres, let me look at specifically, plus 48, plus 51 for the Cubs and the Padres. And the Miami is minus 19. It's going to be rough. They're barely holding on by a string. I don't know how it's working out, but like you said earlier, they're half a game outside of the wild card. They're still in the race. They're in the hunt. Maybe things turns around. I don't know what specifically,
I mean, look, you got the Yankees coming to town in 2 weeks, man. 3-game span, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
To me, it's all pitching. Like, the pitching has been horrendous. Like, they haven't pitched a shutout in like fucking forever. Like, look, let me rattle off these scores. They just beat the Rays. They only let up 1 run there. But outside of that, you've allowed 4-2, 4-6, 6-5, 6-6, 5-6, 5. 3-3, 4-3, 9. Like, come on! Like, look how many runs you're allowing in. Like, the offense has been the only thing that's been keeping that run differential, like, even within 19. Honestly, because right now the best pitcher currently stats wise is Jesus Luzardo. Like, has 8 wins, 3.22 ERA, 144 strikeouts. Where's Sandy on that? He's not even.
He's been awful.
The top.
He's been awful.
Like, come on, like, dude, like they hadn't had a shutout since. Let's see here. The Red Sox, and what day was this?
Going way back.
That was beginning of the season.
He's going way back.
June 29th. Was the last time you had a game where you didn't allow a run? Pretty much a month.
I think we won that Red Sox series.
Yeah, pretty much a month. And this is a kind of a Red Sox team that is not even that strong of a team.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Speaking of the Red Sox, I've heard, I don't know, trade rumors, trade deadline's about to come up. JoJo, I don't know if you want to, speculate. I know, there's a lot of talk. We're going to talk about the unicorn. We're going to talk about Ohtani. Ohtani over the weekend, through his, or was it yesterday, last night, through his first complete game, a one-hitter complete game.
No, that was today. And let's tap into that. So today, and I realized why that game was so early that we were talking about before the podcast started. First, complete game, shutout with one hit. He had one hitter, unicorn. Do you know what he did about a half hour ago, Gabe?
What did he do?
Saw the notification on my phone. In the second game.
Tell me. You updating me. I'm learning live, just like you.
Not 1, but 2 home runs this man just hit in the second game of this doubleheader. So you go from throwing a one-hitter shutout, complete game, and then the next game you're hitting 2 home runs?
Jesus Christ.
Listen, man. All right, so
MVP.
All I gotta say is, right, it's been a lot of rumors before the deadline where Ohtani's gonna land. Should the Angels give him up, right? Should they, hold on to him? And the only answer that is correct is to hold on to this guy. If you look at the standings, they are how many games behind in the wild card? What do you got? 3.5 games behind. And they had 2 wins today. Well, I'm not sure if they won the second game, but you're right there. You are right there. This is a once in a generation talent, 2-way player. You can't get rid of him. And I'm only saying that because they should go ahead and actually acquire more players right now before the deadline. That's what they should be doing. Acquiring talent so they can make it to the damn postseason with Trout and Ohtani. And you're that close. This is your best opportunity. Right now, I think if they were to give him up, they're way too close to give him up right now. You're 3.5 games behind, and you got the second half of the season to get that job done.
I absolutely disagree because obviously Trout coming off injury, he broke his foot. He had surgery July 5th. We're at the end of July. I think a smart person would say yes, keep him. But after this contract is up, and do you really think you can keep him in Los Angeles as an Angel? I absolutely do not think. I think he is up for. I think he's up for going across another team. Like he's going to be on another team probably next year. But I think he's going to stay on the West Coast. There's a lot of talk. You talk about, you're wearing your Yankees shirt. Maybe possibly go to the Yankees, big market team, international. I think he's going to stay.
Did it.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I think Ohtani's going to stay on the West Coast. It could be Seattle. It could be the Padres. It could be the LA Dodgers. It could be the Dodgers. I've heard rumors of Texas. I don't think it's going to be Texas, but whatever. I think he's going to stay on the West Coast. It's going to be some California, some West Coast team.
It's going to be a team that spends money. Dodgers. So if you narrow that down, it's either the Dodgers, potentially the Giants, but I don't see the Giants doing that.
I mean, if you're saying if you're give a bag to Aaron Judge, so they got some money.
That's what I'm saying. If you're only talking about two teams that have the money and want to spend the money, it's really only the Dodgers and the Giants. There's no way he's going to San Diego. I don't think they're going to put the money into him.
No shot.
He's not going to Seattle.
Not with the contracts they have.
No, Seattle's definitely not. Seattle's not a big money team. They're just not that. Like,
they're a young, exciting team.
I mean, who? Yeah, but like, I mean,
you're going to trade your young talent.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Another thing about if they're going to trade him,
maybe. You're keeping the fan base in Los Angeles. He's actually going to play in LA now, and maybe like you said, maybe the Dodgers want to move from Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I was going to say he's already in LA, so it's not going to be a hard transition from him from LA to LA. If he goes somewhere, also it's like the trade value. Like, what do you get? I don't think they're going to trade him. I honestly think the Angels are going to try to keep him.
Well, it's more about just trading. It's about who's going to want to spend the money for his contract.
Even if you do trade him, I don't think you're going to get equal value because he is, in my opinion, the greatest generational player in my lifetime. The greatest player I've ever seen. I thought it was A-Rod. I thought it was Griffey. No, it's fucking, it's fucking Ohtani, man. Ohtani's the greatest player ever.
Besides West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, you got to look at what league he wants to play in as well. American League or National League. So you really got to deep dive into that. 'Cause, there's different rules, different players.
Yeah, and there's a pay scale too. If you want to stay with a team, like how do you get paid as a hitter? Do you get paid as a pitcher? Because you perform at a certain thing. I think he's fucking in the running for MVP. He's got to win this year. I'm sorry,
he's going to be the highest.
He had an insane June. His June wasn't crazy. So it's like one of those things. Like, do you get paid as this? You get paid as that. You do both excellently well. Like even if you stop pitching, let's say you fucking hurt your arm, you can still fucking hit and run. You're still a power hitter. Kind of insane to think of. So I think the Angels. My opinion, what I think is going to happen. Angels going to keep him. This trade deadline, he's not going to move. But I think afterwards, he's going to go to another team. Somewhere in the West Coast. That's just my guess. I don't know what team. I can't tell you specifics of whatever contracts.
As of 2 hours ago, it says that the Angels are all in on Shohei Ohtani. He is not available for trade as of 2 hours.
Here we go. They're trying to make that playoff push. They're going to make that
If the Angels don't make the playoffs and they don't re-sign Ohtani when he reaches free agency, Moreno would be convicted of industrial circles of making Neanderthal mistakes and send the team back years.
Neanderthal mistakes.
Don't send Ohtani, man. Ohtani's the greatest.
I'm telling you, man, they're going all in this year, right? This is their best chance. They're only 3.5 back. They should be looking for talent to bring in to play with him right now. That's what they should be doing. Find your weaknesses, acquire before the trade deadline, get into the playoffs.
And dude, at the end of the day, the Angels, I think, need him just from a business perspective. If you're in LA, they're viewed as the Anaheim Angels. There's a reason why they were the Anaheim Angels, and they changed the name to Los Angeles Angels. They will always be second class to the Dodgers.
They're the Clippers to the Dodgers Lakers.
Even worse, because at least the Clippers play in Los Angeles. Like this is, they are the Anaheim Angels to people over there. They're not the Los Angeles Angels, even though they changed their name to that. And it's like if you want to not be the second class citizen in Southern California, in the LA area, you got to keep the big names. You got to keep Trout. You got to keep Ohtani. If you want,
but what are they doing to support him?
Because you're in direct competition with the Dodgers.
They're still second class. No. They gotta win. It doesn't matter who they have.
And that's what I'm saying. So you cannot give away potentially, like Gabe was saying, the best player of our entire generation, potentially even ever by the end of his career. Like,
but I would say only
if this
because
is your chance to take over,
they have a chance. Only because they have a chance right now, right? If they're that close. Now, if they were looking like the Athletics, and like they have in the past, even with Trout, and it's $300 million contract.
It's deeper than this year, though. It's deeper than just this year. I mean, you're talking about years. Like, I mean, if you can lock him up for at least the next 5 to 7 or however long his contract will be, it's about having like the long term effect, not just about now. It's like, maybe they don't make it this year. Next year they revamp in free agency or whatever, and then who knows? But as long as you can lock him down, like that is
well, it's not just like
one priority.
What I'm saying is, look, but like, sorry to bring it up, it does matter this season because Ohtani is not going to decide to stay if he knows he doesn't have an opportunity to win. If they don't make the postseason this year, his head's going to look the other way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, keep him, acquire him. Keep him, acquire him. He's really good. What are you doing to support him? How are you giving him run support? How are you giving pitching support? How are you?
No,
what else are you feeling around him?
But they're not doing anything this season. The Angels are going to add there's not going to be any serious acquisitions until once the season's over. Like realistically, unless they do some crazy.
They have a few. They still.
Yeah, but are they going to do like what are the? Do you think they're going to do something though? Like, do you personally think they're going to make major changes?
I think they have to. I think they have.
But do you think they will do it?
I think they're going to attempt.
Look, I think
they're going to attempt.
I think if you can figure it out, I mean, I think you're only asking so much of what you can do in a season. At the end of the day, I think if you can,
the one-man show right
honestly,
now.
if I'm an Angels fan or if you're, I would rather them be able to work something out with him to stay than miss the playoffs this season.
Not gonna happen.
I'd rather miss the playoffs this season if you can get him to stay.
There's no chance he stays if they don't make the playoffs. They need to focus on the right now so they can focus on tomorrow. And they're in that
I think
situation.
there's a pitch but there could be a pitch to be made. Like, hey, we don't make it this year, but we're revamping this free agency. We have this person's free. This person's free.
No. Listen,
I just don't believe like
the last 2 years of him being the best player. Like that. That's it.
This is the Damian Lillard situation. Like, I want to be here for a rebuild.
But he's been the best player.
I'm saying to hold.
I know Judge won MVP last season, but you don't know. It's like a Giannis right now, right? He's getting better and better. And we're like, what the hell's going on? Giannis sooner or later got that ring. So it's like, all right, that's off. Okay. That's off his shoulder now.
Okay, yeah. But if you're making this whole inflection point is just they make the playoffs. Okay, what if they make the playoffs? They're bounced out of the next round. Does that really matter at the end of the day? Like, okay, you can say you made it, but like, you did. It's about making a. It's about making a run at the end of the day. It's like
for them,
like if you squeeze in the playoffs. My thing is like if you squeeze in, who cares?
What was the last year the Angels made the playoffs? They need to just get in. For baseball, it's a big deal because it's so hard to make the playoffs. Like even if it's the wild card.
If you make in and then you bounce, like versus like maybe just being outside, is that really a big difference? Because like we said, I genuinely believe at this trade deadline, if they make any move, if any at all, it's not going to be game-changing moves that are going to turn this team all of a sudden into a contender. If they make it a move, then maybe they can possibly get in the playoffs. But like at the end of the day, Angels still have to do something to recruit him to stay. And you're going to have to do something this offseason. It's still the offseason.
You can make a run. You can make a run, man. I'm telling you, just like in football, right? You're saying what's the difference in making the playoffs and then becoming one game away from making it? It's either you make it or you don't make it. Yeah. You're not like
no, but I'm saying if they make it and then they get bounced, like, does it matter at the end of the day? Like, is that going to want to make him stay anymore? It's like, oh yeah, we made it, but it wasn't like this team was built to actually go deep in the playoffs. We just got bounced the first round.
I'll tell you, like, as a fan,
the team still needs to get revamped in the offseason, regardless. They still need to add pieces in the offseason.
I mean, that's any team, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every team will revamp in the offseason. Doesn't matter. There's only one championship team, regardless.
I'm saying, I only think there's so much they're going to do this trade deadline. Like, there's only so much you can do or would do. Like,
as a fan, if I say he's the greatest player I've ever seen, the greatest player of my generation, I want to see him in a World Series. It would be a waste of talent, a waste of time, and for a franchise to have a great player and then never do anything with him. That's Mike Trout was supposed to be that guy. Mike Trout was supposed to be the guy. And how many World Series have you seen Mike Trout in? And now you got Mike Trout and you got Ohtani, 2 generational players. Never did anything. Never seen a playoff.
I understand. What I'm saying is I completely
Julian
agree.
wants longevity. He wants a sustainable team to make a deep run, which I get. You think this deadline is not going to patch that up. Well, what I'm telling you, I'm
just saying to base your next 5 seasons or whatever, just based off what happens this second half of the season by what they did in the trade deadline is weird. If you go into the offseason and we're like, hey, Ohtani, we've added this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece. You're the last on here. And we've made space for you. And these are the people that we've bringing in because to help support you and Trout. Then he makes the decision there. But then if they end up pulling nothing to the table, like there's nothing we could do, there's nothing, then it's like, all right, yeah, fuck you guys, I'm out.
I'm gone. Out. There you go.
Well, here's what I'm trying to say.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how we make the playoffs, you can barely make the playoffs and whatever.
Well, listen, and I get what you're saying.
Reason why you stay.
Well, what I'm saying is, one, he's never made the playoffs since he's been there. So this season is the make or break. If they can at least get in, that will help them carry on to what you're saying. Hey, we made the playoffs. We can build off this. We are now a playoff team with what we had, and then we can add on. That would be a better case for him next season. Whereas, okay, we didn't make the playoffs again. He's gonna take money and go somewhere else.
I agree with you. Like saying that, we made the this is going to be a better pitch, but I'm saying just to say you've made the playoffs, but then you still come in this offseason and did nothing about it. Just because you made the playoffs this season, but then you still didn't add anything, I'm still going to be out.
They might not be able to do anything this offseason if they're going to pay him all that money. They might not even be able to do that. That's what I'm saying. They need to go now and acquire some stuff at the trade deadline to give them the best chance. Because
I know, but I'm saying then if they're
not going to pay him $400 million on top of Trout's whatever $300 million contract.
So then what you're saying in general is that pretty much
trade him away. That's what I'm saying. Trade him away. Get rid of him because
if you're saying that you can't afford him regardless, you say you are able to pay him and then but now you have no money to bring pieces around him. He's not going to want to stay for that. So it's Julian, he's going to leave regardless.
That's what I'm saying. You need to hold on to him as much this year. This is your best chance. Don't trade him. Gabe wants to trade him now. I'm saying no. Get him pieces now to at least see what you can do in the playoffs with him. This is your chance because he's gonna leave. He's gonna go. But if you trade him now and you're 3.5 games behind the wild card, you're not gonna see that.
You'll never know what potentially they could do.
You're never gonna know.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of leaning toward.
If you get in the playoffs with Ohtani as your starting pitcher, who the fuck knows what could happen? You just gotta win 4 out of 7.
4 games. Yeah.
But can this team win Yeah, but I don't know if the team could do that against some of the top in the National League.
Well, I'm just saying, though.
The Braves, the Dodgers, the Giants, they got to get through that, and that they're just not going to get through that.
That's the other.
I'm kind of leaning with Gabe on this. If you can't get nothing from them,
Yankees, Boston, Tampa.
I'm kind of with Gabe on this, where it's look, if you're looking at your financial sheet and you're like, all right, he's going to want this much money.
The greatest player of all time. The greatest player of all time. Not just any player. The greatest player of all time.
but we can't put anything around him. He's not going to be happy if we can't put anything around him. He's going to want to request a trade anyways. Why not get some compensation if you know that he's probably going to leave in the offseason?
Because they're too close right now. I'm telling you, if they were
that's attention.
They're too close. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're right there. They're 3 games. If they were 15 games back, they would have easily made this decision. All right, we'll give up on the season.
But they're so close.
The fact that they're right there, right? And today they had a doubleheader, and his performance on the mound, and then hit 2 home runs.
Complete game, 2 home runs.
You're not gonna look the other way and be like, all right, we're gonna get rid of this guy. You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it. So that's why they said, you read the statement. They're all in.
They're all in. They're all in on Ohtani.
That's why they need to acquire they need to acquire now and see what you can do and get in the postseason now, because homeboy's gonna be gone if you can't afford him next season, or You know what I mean? Like I already repeated myself.
So how would you feel? How would you feel if I said, like, would you rather them make the playoffs this season, or if you're saying as if you're an Angels fan, or would you rather lock him down for years?
No, playoffs, bro. Because you can lock him down. The playoffs still ain't guaranteed with him in 20 years, just like fucking Trout. Like you need to make the playoffs. Not
going on a run. It would be a miracle if they went on a run in the playoffs.
Yes, you could be a pessimist or a realist.
Bro, it's not like he can. It's not like he can pitch every game in the playoffs, though. That's what.
But he can hit every game. But he can hit. That's the thing.
I mean, just like any team, right? You only have one or two aces. And really, the teams that make deep playoff runs, if they have three guys and they have relievers, not every team has that.
Yeah.
Just the Astros did last year, which is why they fucking took it all. The Rays a few years ago went beast mode. LA always has great pitching. Like. That's for any team. You have good pitching, like you're gonna make deep runs. Why? Because the other team can't score.
And that's the tension. So, listen, we're gonna leave it at that. Let's leave it at that because it's trade deadline. We'll find out next. Listen, by the time we come on our pack, we're gonna know all the transactions, all everything that happens. Okay,
I think they're all. Julian got my spark back. I'm excited about baseball. Let's go.
But hey, we appreciate y'all listening. This was a long one. Real Fans Podcast. Thank y'all for checking us out. Listen, Julian's gonna be recording the Real Fans FC, so he's gonna talk more MLS, more Messi, more World Cup, more everything MLS. Real Fans Podcast is us, Real Fans FC. Julian, tell them about Real Fans FC.
Real Fans FC. We cover all the news, obviously this side of the pond and the other side of the pond in the second half of the episode. But with it being off season in Europe, only preseason going on, probably not going to talk too much about that. But if you guys want to get some Leagues Cup, want to hear some Leagues Cup predictions or Leagues Cup talk and Messi talk, and now with the recent news of potentially salary caps getting restructured in the MLS with taking advantage of the Messi thing, we're going to talk about that. I think that's a really interesting topic. A lot of owners are coming out saying, hey, we want to make some changes to this league. We want to spend more money, raise that cap, baby. So we're going to talk some of that. What owners are not a part of it. Robert Kraft. Cronky. We're gonna see how that goes, but yeah, check us out, man.
All the things. Twitter, not Twitter anymore, it's X now. Threads,
X.com,
Instagram, everything. Real Fan Pod. Thank y'all for checking us out on YouTube. We appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.